Thanks for staying with us. This is Business Incorporated on Channels Television. I am Bisi Adebayo. On today's show, world largest oil trader Royal Dutch Shell loads first crude from Libya in 5 years. And American businesses brace up for a total solar eclipse in the U.S. with a price tag of a whopping $694 million. And weighing the policies and economic implications of Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari's return. Now, it's the first trading day for the week, and the stock markets in Africa are mostly up at the intraday. Well, let's see the numbers now, starting from here in Nigeria, where the all-share index is seen 0.09% higher at 36,952.95. The South African Burst is also up 0.39% at intraday. Well, it's a good day also at the Egyptian stock markets, which is also trending higher at 0.67%. The Kenyan market closed 0.53% down on Friday. And Qatar's Burst underperformed its neighbors in early trade on Monday, while Saudi Arabia's index rose slightly, helped by robust oil prices. Qatar's index was down 0.7% as 70% of the 20 most valuable shares declined. Dubai's index edged down 0.5% as 12 shares declined. In Abu Dhabi, the index was 0.56% down, with Dana Gas extending the previous session's gain to add 1.6%. Alder Properties was down 0.4%. In Saudi Arabia, however, all but two of the listed Saudi petrochemical makers were up in early trade, with Saudi Basic Industries adding 0.4%, helping take the Saudi stock index 0.4% higher at the intraday. In the meantime, European stocks pulled back on Monday on renewed U.S.-North Korea tensions, but deal news helped lift shares of Danish shipping company Maersk Line and car maker Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. Well, there's more coming from the markets, and my colleague at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, Conrad Busen, is waiting to give us more information. It's good to have you on the show, Conrad. One of the biggest corporate news out of Europe today is the France Total paying $7.5 billion to buy Maersk oil assets.
Hey, Lagos, I can't hear you anymore.
Very well. So check out these stocks for us and, of course, the market's reactions. Okay, we'll get back to Conrad Busen in just a moment, but in the U.S., stocks pointed to a dip open for the week, putting the Dow Jones Industrial Average on track to deepen its two-week drop. Dow futures fell 0.01% to 21,677, while S&P futures also shed 0.01% to 2,426.5. NAFTA 100 futures gave up 0.06% to 5,790. Conrad Busen is back on the line to tell us more coming from the European market. It's great to have you on the program, Conrad. But I was asking that one of the biggest corporate news out of Europe today is the France Total paying $7.5 billion to buy Maersk oil assets, including debt. Can you check out these two stocks for us and how the markets are reacting?
It's really interesting to see the share price reaction of both companies. Seems to be saying, well, for Total, this might be a big story. For Maersk, this definitely is a huge story. Share price of Total is standing there pretty much unchanged at the moment. So not even the relatively high amount of money that Total is paying here for the oil business of Maersk is something concerning investors today. But the share price of Maersk is up nicely, more than 4%. You know, Maersk, the large shipping company, was in a lot of trouble until recently. It reported a surprising quarterly loss. It also reported that it had problems due to one of those cyber attacks of this year, the virus NotPetya, that cost Maersk between 200 and 300 million euros. That's not only a lot of money, it's also a very negative sign for the company, because it shows in what a dismal and weak, state the structure, the corporate and business structures of Maersk have been recently. they really were not in a good state. They had to deal with, of course, the ups and downs of the world's economy. They had to deal with fierce competition in the worldwide shipping businesses, so that there were a lot of concerns among investors also about the credit rating of Müller-Maersk. All this has eased somewhat now with this huge sale of the oil business to Total. That's why, the share price indicates such a relief.
Now let's talk about Germany, where the economic minister has called for the scrapping of air passenger tax. How are the airlines on one hand and you, Conrad, as a passenger on the other hand, feel about this?
Well, the share price of Lufthansa, for example, is on the upside today, and of course this perspective of potentially lower taxes might be playing a role here. And if you ask me as a passenger, of course I would be glad to pay a couple of euros less for every airline ticket I book. But let me also tell you, this is a very interesting statement from the Minister of the Economy, who's a member of the Social Democratic Party, the Labour Party here in Germany, only a few weeks before the next general election for our federal parliament, the German Bundestag. It's very nice to talk, tax cuts shortly before the election. Well, at the same time, Madame Tsipras, the minister, knows quite well that the Minister of Finance is fiercely opposed to scrapping that tax. And she also knows that the airlines, in compensation for the tax they have to pay here, got quite a few reliefs in other domains to make up for this tax. And in a country that wants to signal to the world, we are taking climate change and the reduction of carbon emissions seriously, carbon dioxide emissions, I don't think it would be a very wise idea to scrap the tax on the airlines especially, which don't pay tax on kerosene, while at the same time, if you have a car here in Germany, if you drive a truck here in Germany, you have to pay high fuel taxes. Everyone sort of is contributing to the fight against climate change and to the change from fossil fuels to renewable energies. I guess the airlines should pay their share as well.
Now, just before I let you go, Conrad, U.S. President Trump trade war is back on the front burner, either on NAFTA or with the Chinese. On whose side is Europe?
Well, in terms of NAFTA, I would say that people here in Europe are looking at this more from the sidelines. Of course, it's going to be interesting to see how Trump will do and, of course, what the outcome will be for Mexico and Canada. But the involvement in the NAFTA negotiations of businesses here in Europe is not very